me ask you this, and we talked about this in our first interview when we first met a few months back, and we touched on this a little bit last show, and you just touched on it a little bit again. Especially in this day and age of the music business, um, most bands are doing just that. They're buying their way in. They're buying their way onto shows. They're buying their way into record contracts. They're buying their way into everything. Even with record contracts now, you got to give the record. You are giving the record label part of your touring money, your merch money. It's ridiculous. I don't understand the way these things are working now. But back, years ago in the days of Spread Eagle, was it like that? Were bands then buying their way in as well, or
Because they were handing out record deals like hotcakes back in my day.
right?
You got 250 G's to, make you give it 250 G's, studio money, touring money, video money, money for gear. I remember as a singer, I'll digress. I'll get back. As a singer, I was always jealous of gear money. I'm like, oh, well, he's getting 20 grand for what? Oh, he's got to get Marshall stacks. Yeah, and he's got to get a drum kit. Well, what can I get some gear money? Well, Ray, you sing. You don't have any gear. Oh, I got lots of gear, man. I got to get cases of beer. I got to get cases of Jack Daniels. I got to be a drug dealer. I got to get a microphone. Carry that thing. I tried to get my hands on gear money. It was pretty funny when I went asking for gear money. Oh, God. Ray, gear money. You're going to kill yourself. I'm like, no, I'm not. I need 20 grand because, I have to buy things. We're trying to get shit, man. But it's business, man. It's the music business as it was doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Right. It's a streaming business. It's about getting on playlists.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to make a whole album anymore. But then other countries are like Japan. You go to Europe, they still produce CDs. But
right.
Everybody's getting into playlists and streaming. That's the reality of it. We are in the future, my friend.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to find, instead of having a music business and everything's done this way, now it's free for all. If you find your way to make it to if you get people's attention, mm-hmm. That's how the social media works with bands. You got to have everybody. Every band member has to be posting every day.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's the days of being given, $250 to $1 million for whatever. It doesn't exist anymore, unless you're like a rock pop band.
Yeah.
And there's that kind of thing, which is, I do this still, not because I'm making any money, but I love to play rock and roll. So I love to get into the action of things, mm-hmm. And yes, it's true. I don't do it as the way I used to because your body changes, things change.
Sure.
And you just are there because you love the art of doing it, and you mm-hmm. connect with people who appreciate it. You're still trying to do that and be there with them. You got people that are demanding perfection, and those mm-hmm. are the ones who comment and say all the dumb shit. And you got people that are in the room because they just want to connect with you.
Yeah.
The band's here. They're all alive. They're playing well. They're having a good time. They're enjoying themselves. And so we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're celebrating the music.
Mm-hmm.
But back to like this, I don't discourage any young band from getting together in the garage, banging it out, recording some songs, and do what you got to do. Go ask mommy and daddy for money.
Right.
It's great. I saw I posted this Godsmack video the other day.
Okay.
With all these kids playing with Godsmack. That fucking was beautiful, man. That was fucking beautiful. So I think there's a chance for organic rock and roll to still have its place. There's
I agree.
I'm in hope. I'm in a lot of hope about it. But the kids got to realize it's a new business. It's different, but they're going to find a way to navigate it because the kids always know how to navigate things.
I thought by now, I figured, with that whole School of Rock explosion that we had, with all these young teenagers and kids going through School of Rock and becoming freaking absolutely fucking amazing musicians. I thought that would have helped the rock music industry because I thought that was going to turn into like, back in the 80s and even the 90s, even when grunge came in, there was still the younger generation of teenage and 20 somethings going out to the clubs faithfully and religiously any night of the week to go support their favorite bands, their local bands.
Right.
And I was hoping that was going to be the influx to rebuild the club scenes, but it just hasn't happened.
It's like I said, man. It's all the kids. What they do down here, and I've seen a lot of kids. They will get a warehouse space,
Okay.
and they just set up and jam, and they set up the camera, and they invite friends. And some of these
Right.
bands, the cool thing where you see like hundreds of kids from high school will be at a warehouse area, jamming to their favorite high school band.
Wow.
That works out. But social media, they're streaming it. It's a lot of word of mouth too.
Yeah.
It's just changed a lot. So the School of Rock, it's a great organization. I was a part of it for a couple of years in 2017
Okay.
because I was teaching voice, but I found a lot of it was based on wealth. The kids that had money, parents that could afford to have the School of Rock babysit their kids for a couple of hours. So it's a great, out of 100 kids, you might get 2 or 3 that are
Okay.
playing, and the parents have a place for them to go. It's a safe space. The parents are paying good money for those kids to be there. But music education is the main thing. So the kids that don't have the money, but that have the that have the art in them, but they can't get to it because they don't have the gear. Those are the ones that can do it. That I'm
Right.
sure can make it happen. So, and it's an endless. We got to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
School of Rock, great. There's so many there's School of Rocks, and then there's so many different versions of School of Rock across the country, across the world, whatever. But you want to see the kids, that the kid that practices in an apartment somewhere because his mom is working 2 jobs or whatever, that he can't get the best guitar. He can't go to School of Rock. What does he do?
Right.
So you got to get to them and get them out in the action, man. So that's what it is. It's become a money thing. If you can afford to play rock and roll, you can go play rock and roll. If you can't, you're fucked.
That's it.
But if you can get in on the action, whether you have money or not, it's such a great thing to have in your life. The music lifestyle. Carrying yourself as a musician. Is through high school. It's a part of you. If you're a musical person, it's part of your DNA. It's part of your makeup.
Who I think we might have talked about this last time. I think we did. Who was the musical person that made you like go, all right, that's what I want to do, or not even that. Who was the musical or song or musical artist that made you fall in love with music?
Oh wow! For me, it's Michael Jackson. It's the Jackson 5.
Wow.
Because as a kid watching TV, it's a toss up because Elvis and Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5, let's use it, were happening for me at the same time as a kid.
Okay.
Well, I think it was probably seeing Elvis.
Yeah.
I saw Elvis in Hawaii. Me and my mom watched it in the living room, and that blows your mind. The world's first real rock star is Elvis.
Yeah.
The way just the pageantry of it, the way he dressed, the way he talked, the way he sounded, the way he walked. It was just so cool, man. And that got me. There's so many things when you're a kid. There's the Beatles, but my father and I used to go to the drag races, and on our rides, he would play everything from like Led Zeppelin to like Santana.
Wow.
And that was my music education in that, and he turned me on to a lot of cool rock and roll. But the wanting to do it was this show called The Midnight Special. Remember
Yeah.
Little man, it came on at like at 12 o'clock, and it was a rock and roll live comedy show. That made me want to rock. That made me like stay up late and annoy my mom. Why don't you sleep? I'm sleeping. What's that fucking noise you got? And when I was coming up in bands, wanting to be in a band, I was in high school. Some high school band played. I was like, oh my god, that's cool, man. They're getting all the girls. They're just cool, man. And there was a friend of mine, Dean Lamel, greatest singer on the face of the earth, in my opinion. And he was my mentor. A little later in later teens, man. And he wound up checking out on his own, but he was such a force for me. Like, you can do this, man. You can do this. But the thing that made, it's so many things make you want to rock. Everything from evil to evil, just it's a vibe. It's like, oh man, people are going outside the lines. I don't have to go and be this. I can go outside the lines and become like an artist.
Yeah.
And live my life that way. Why should I was real anti-corporate, anti all that shit. I didn't want to. Who wears a fucking tie, man? I was that kid. Metal rules, bro. You're healing. I was that kid, man. I was the dirty metal. I wouldn't say metal rock kid.
Yeah.
It goes. Michael Jackson, the Jackson Five, the Osmonds, Elvis. Bobby Vinton, all these old school names, Frank Sinatra, and then then one day you get turned on to Zeppelin. You're like, what the fuck is that? Then one day you get turned on to Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait a minute, what is that? I want to do that. And then more comes along, like, wait a minute, they do that too, but they're having more fun with it. They're laughing and goofing while they're playing.
Right.
And it fucks with you. It becomes like everywhere. It's all like my Brando, my kid tells me, it's like you knew what you wanted when you were really young. I said, yeah, that was a problem because it interfered with everything.
Yep.
Schoolwork. It interfered with the behaving myself, how I carried myself. I was a bit too cocky. I thought you had to be a motherfucker, and I thought you had to be like, that you had to prepare yourself to die at 27 on heroin. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, it's such a ride.
Yeah.
And you learn as you go. I loved it. I was just really passionate about rock and roll, and soul music. I also a lot of Motown because my mother listened to Motown, and my father was more of a rock guy. I got both of them.
I've always loved Motown.
All of the blues, man, but Motown. It's just endless. It's endless. We can names, but it's a way of the thing that I like about soul music through the years. It really doesn't change. It gets respected and carried on.
Right.
So our how we feel about rock and roll, I wish that was how it would be as well. So you've got a lot of tradition in soul music. And rock and roll is almost like no tradition anymore. It's like people are tracking, they're running rhythm tracks, they're running drum tracks, they're running vocal tracks. It's a different world, So if you can pay homage and respect tradition, you've got me in your corner.
There you go.
You can make music that makes me move. I can't, I'm also not your typical rock guy because I like to move around a lot. Well, I used to love it more. Now I'm trying to move around a lot, but I can't sit still. I can't stand still.
You should. I mean, I don't think, especially if you're performing music, you shouldn't be standing still. You should be letting it out and feeling it.
Listen, if you're performing, and you have to think about moving and what you're doing, you're not. You got to. You can't care about the funny faces you make.
Yeah.
You can't care about how your clothes are gonna fold this way. They're not perfectly fitting you. If you turn your body, you can't care about how your hair looks. It's all over the place. You're
Right.
a fucking mess. You got to be in the moment and be totally free to be any kind of a performer, whether it's acting, comedy. You can't. If you think about it, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
If you're overthinking it, you're doing it wrong. You should be in the moment, enjoying yourself, because if you're enjoying yourself, people see you enjoying yourself. If you become self-aware, you become stiff, and you're just too cool for school, you're going to get that back. The audience is going to be too cool for school and give you the same stiffness back. So you have to be free and be flowing all the time. The years that I took off from doing music, man, it's not that I regret it, but it's hard to be doing something so full on high energy and expect years later to capture that same energy.
Right.
So do the best you can with what you got and just work hard. You know what I mean? That's making sense.
Totally. All right, so then
back to our topic, man.
All right, we have
rock and roll. It's about that's why AC/DC is so fucking cool. Real blues, pure rock and roll.
All right, so now that you said that, I'm gonna jump to the ACDC story.